Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today Lawn Fawn's Peekaboo Pop-Up Easter Bunny Love Card. Oh, I haven't done one of these in forever, so I did die cut all of my pieces out using that Peekaboo Pop-Up die set, and then of course not paying attention to the side that has my little fold lines on. Yeah, it happens. I'm bringing in this color chart that I created. I've colored a bunch of images with it while we were on vacation, and so trying to keep with that color scheme, I brought that in to help with paper and ink. So I'm bringing in tumbled glass for my sky or for my clouds here. I'm just going to do a quick little cloudy backdrop here. So I'm using Lawn Fawn's Slimline Cloud Stencil here. I like this one probably better than I like the four-sided ones. I wish they had one that was a little bit smaller cloud size, but it works really well because you can shift it and move it, flip it over, so you really get a large array of different clouds with it, or looks with it, just shifting it, because you have, I think it's an 8.5 inch long stencil, and usually your card width is about 5.5. Well, this one is about 6, so it works really well in my opinion. Now I brought in a dye ink here instead of going with an oxide, because the dye ink is going to sit, I shouldn't say, it doesn't really sit on top of an oxide very well. And so it's just going to kind of color that paper that is white. And it gives me a two-tone cloud look without, I don't know, modifying that blue a whole lot. It's going to give it a little bit of a different color, but for the most part you get the blue with some purple, I don't know, peaks, I guess, in the clouds. And so you get that two-tone look. That was glorious. And that was when I realized I needed to go and die cut another base piece because, yeah, I did my clouds upside down. Well, right side up, but I had my paper upside down. Yeah. So keep that in mind if that's, where it's going to affect where your image comes out and where your little peekaboo strip gets adhered. Yeah. It's been a while since I've done one of these. The last time was probably on a video here, so it was probably last year sometime. Yeah, I don't remember using this one for quite a while. I don't know if you can actually put it under on that side. I think you might be able to, because I think I did. I know I did one last year for my father for his birthday, which was like, it was a swish from the top and the bottom. And I know I did it. I'd have to go back and rewatch the video to see. But the thing that I remember is that you needed this little piece here to be folded into a point, and then that arrow, I like to call it an arrow, so it points to the long side. And so I was trying to remember if my strip of paper was supposed to be on the top or on the bottom. It's, all of these interactives sometimes, yeah, I get lost in, I don't write down things. I just hope I remember them and aim for the best. It really didn't take me very long. I was like, if it's, if it wasn't going to work, I was going to have to go find a video and rewatch a video. But I ended up remembering well enough that my little flap was on the bottom part there. And so it worked. I was happy. Such is life, right? So I'm bringing in some score tape. Now, the one thing that I didn't make sure while I was adhering this was that my stretched out panel lines up on the bottom. So I would suggest laying everything flat when you adhere that first one down, because if it's not flat and it doesn't adhere and butt up perfectly on the other one, it kind of gives a little bit of a bow, and it just, yeah, it's annoying. That's all I'm going to say. I did come in with the scissors and kind of just clip off that underhang. I won't say overhang because it's the other way. So that underhang to make it look a little more seamless. So my original thought was I was going to have this little guy. I've had him colored forever. And so I was like, I'm going to finally use him, right? And then I was like, oh, but this little guy was also colored. And it worked out that he was popping that way. So it was a happy accident that I did my clouds backwards, you know, sometimes in life. Yeah. So I am going to ink blend a little bit on my bracket piece there, just because that way it blends in with my background. You don't see it. And it's, you know, fast enough, easy enough. So I'm going to lift that up, put a little bit of glue underneath there, and then I will clip off the overhang there and put my bunny back on there. And then, of course, I have to try it out 5 times because, you know, it's cute. Now, if you're like me, I use really heavy cardstock, and so when you fold on it, sometimes it cracks on that crease there. So I just come in with my blending brush, whatever's on there, and kind of fill in that white little crack space. I don't know what else to say. I could say a lot of things that probably won't be appropriate right now. Anyway, so I'm bringing in some of my colored images. Now, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this one beyond make a people pop-up and use some of my colored images. So I colored a bunch of images on vacation, but I also have leftover Easter images from last year. So I was trying to decide which ones to use. Of course, I pulled out some of the ones that were from the previous, you know, year that I'd already put the little white dots and freckles on, so I did end up having to add little white dots and freckles to some. I really wanted to use this big guy, and it just didn't work. I liked the little guy that fit in the little crease there. He kind of is an added little surprise. So I have the coordinating die set for the before and afters, the Easter before and afters from Fawn. So I'm going to use those, cut out all of my images, and then I will work on figuring out my layout here. I wanted a full scene card. You know, there's not a lot going on interest-wise in that background on that back panel. It's not, you know, it doesn't have a lot of, I didn't want to do like little flowers. I could have done little flowers, I guess. I could have done some other things on there, but I decided to make a very full Easter scene. So these bigger size, this one's a little bit bigger. So I set him towards the bottom. I could have done some foam adhesive on that front panel piece, but I was trying to keep it to be a fairly flat card. You know, I don't mind using adhesive, but sometimes, or the foam, but sometimes mailing wise, it gets expensive. So I did stick this one down. For the most part, everything I think is flat. So trying to add maybe paper on top of the other papers, try to add a little bit of layering in there. But, you know, for the most part, just kind of filling in here and there, adding in little details with the brushes and smaller images. And then, of course, dropping everything. It's inevitable. You know, I have reverse tweezers for this type of thing. Do you think I remember to use them? No. I did kind of try to add the paint brushes, you know, that were tipped to the paintbrush buckets, or the paint buckets that coordinated. So once I had this done, I was like, you know, it just needed something yet. So I'm going to bring in that Easter before and after stamp set again, and I will add in, I'm going to stamp out a couple more Easter eggs. And I will show you how I ended up coloring those. So I did do some like two-tone ink blended colors on these with my alcohol markers. So I'm bringing in the set that I brought with me on vacation, and then of course those colors as well. So for this one, I'm going in with just one of the shades of pink, and then I'm going to come in with the other shade of purple. And the key to this one is just kind of going from one side with one color, one side with the other color, and kind of meet them in the middle or the area that you want them to kind of intersect and make a new color. It's a lot like ink blending with ink, but you're just doing it with alcohol markers. It helps when they are tonally similar, I guess. And so using that color chart that I made, I know that those colors are going to flow well together. even if, you know, they're not the same color. So doing some pink and blues is obviously going to make purple. I could have done the yellow and pink and kind of made an orange one there, but I kept it fairly simple for this one. And then before I get too far here, I'm going to come in with my stamp platform and I'm going to stamp right on my card. Yeah, I know. I like to live life dangerously. What can we say? So I am going to bring in a magnet to hold down the one side just to make sure. And then, yes, I ended up getting ink on my card base. Not on purpose. I did clean it off, but it kind of touched before I realized I had done it. So I'm going to do a sander. I think I did the sand eraser on that one as well. So I pulled, that one was from, I think, the Somebody stamp set. Which one is that one? I think that was the Somebody stamp set for my sentiment there. I also used the Eggstraordinary Easter for one of my bunnies and the Happy Easter on the inside. So I'm going to pull in that other part of the before and after basket with the bunny hanging out. I'm going to put him on the inside so he gets used up too. I'm trying really hard to use up all of those colored images and not have leftovers today. Yep, inky fingers. Yeah. So this is where a sand eraser comes in handy. Yeah, all the time. It's inevitable. Me and my inky fingers that, you know, I should wipe my hands more often. I think I don't realize I get it on my hands. And, it is what it is, right? So I did die cut out those other little eggs and then just figuring out where I want to put them on my card front. If they just kind of fill in that space and make for a very full and busy card. But it's supposed to be a busy card. It's Easter. And you would expect a lot of bunnies because, well, they're bunnies. So I'm just going to add in that last one, finish those up, and then, of course, I see I got some ink on another spot. So sand eraser quick, and then, of course, just coming in with whatever's left on my blending brush to kind of cover that up. And then I will add that onto an A2 size card base here. And, of course, then we need to check it out, right? Make sure that the little bunny in the back is hopping up, and I have the bunny on the inside peeking out of the basket. So, yeah. I mean, you know, you have to make sure it works, right? The best part of making interactive cards is playing with them. I'm not gonna lie. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky. Bye!